Today on the Game Marks podcast, we are playing New Japan Pro Wrestling 95 Battle 7 in Tokyo Dome for the Super Famicom. We take our weekly plunge and find out everything there is to know about this New Japan Pro Wrestling game from the mid-90s. Plug in and put on those nostalgia goggles because this week's Game Marks podcast starts now.
And now, the Game Marks!
Welcome to the Game Marks podcast. My name is George Feast.
And I'm Johnny Clash, and this week we are playing New Japan Pro Wrestling 95 Battle 7 in Tokyo Dome, aka Shin Nippon Pro Wrestling 95 Battle 7 in Tokyo Dome.
And as always, guys, we'd love to hear from you, so please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and make sure to subscribe and rate this podcast wherever you choose to listen, and join in on the conversation on all forms of social media at Game Marks Pod. Johnny effing Clash.
What's up, Georgie?
Guess what? It's been a while since we've had to say this, but today we are recording, and for the first time in, I want to say, about maybe a month and a half, it's raining.
It's raining.
We get to deal with the fun of dealing with audio with rain. We are currently in the middle of a tropical storm. Super fun, super best time to be recording a podcast. But here we are. How's your week been, John?
Not bad, not bad. I'm hoping we don't lose power because that would kind of suck.
You know, I've never actually even thought about the fact that could happen.
That very much could happen, but at least I'm on a laptop, so I won't lose my audio or it won't shut down. But I don't know about you.
How funny would it be if right in the middle of us recording this podcast, the audio just...
No, I don't think that would be funny at all.
Could you imagine?
That would suck.
And then, thanks for hanging out with us this week, guys.
All right, so last week, WCW versus the World. We both played it forever. Pretty good feedback from the Game Marks themselves on Twitter and Instagram. A lot of people had good memories of this game as we did. How you feeling a week later?
I'm sticking with it. I still really think that this game was fun. It makes me... my head is still spinning from the Nitro Thunder versus the World twisty-turny road that you sent me on last week. But that conversation, oddly, strangely, somehow has me excited to when we actually get around to playing those games. So I can't wait.
I was going to say, just wait until we actually play those games and I have to re-explain it all over again.
We'll just cut that snippet from last week's and we'll just throw it in.
I might just do that.
A little flashback Johnny.
The thing is, every time I think I could explain it better, and every time I just end up saying the same exact confusing sentence, so. But, okay, so last week, we announced we are doing a Twitch stream on July 19th, 6 p.m. for WWE Extreme Rules unofficial pre-show. We will be streaming everybody's favorite, WWE 2K20. George has a roster. Yes. I have a roster. We will go head to head. Who's your champion? Kofi?
Kofi's my champion.
Kofi's your champion. I think Brock is mine. We have a good card. Yeah. We're going to post that card this week so everyone could get prepared and know what they're in for.
And I actually have a little proposition that I want to make. And I don't know if maybe if I should talk about it now and just say that you have to tune into the Twitch stream to find out what the actual proposition is, or if I should just announce it now and then we can announce the actual choices later.
No, that's your call.
All right, so here's my proposition to you. I think that we should each get... you are the Raw brand. I am the SmackDown brand. Mm-hmm. I think we should each get either a single or a double draft from NXT.
Oh, that's right. They're not included in that. I agree. Or we could just use them as like wild cards and use them at our will, regardless.
See, I was thinking maybe both, because I also had the idea of them being like that weird wild card that like maybe we throw into like a Rumble or something like that could be cool. But I was thinking that maybe we each get one draft, because not that I'm complaining, but the Raw roster does have 10 more wrestlers than the SmackDown roster. So you have a slightly bigger pool than me.
But I believe I told you with that you could have all of 205 Live.
I rather NXT.
Yeah, I mean, okay. They're now
so,
one
but that's
my
proposition. So if you are okay with drafting one wrestler from NXT, we announce that now, and then maybe we announce our picks live on Twitch.
Yeah, okay. I'm with that. I like that.
All right. So there you have it, guys. Special exclusive for the Twitch stream for Extreme Rules, the live individual wrestler draft pick from NXT.
Now, I had a proposition for you since we started with Money in the Bank. I believe Ricochet is my money, Mr. Money in the Bank, and who was yours?
I think Braun won mine.
Yeah, he did. That was me. I won both. That's right. Okay.
I was gonna say I can't remember if the computer stomped us or if you won one and then the computer won the other one.
So here's my proposition. To cash in, it has to be after a title match. You have to say, I cash in my Money in the Bank, blah, blah, blah. We have to set up the match between the winner and the champion. But the Money in the Bank briefcase holder has, like, jacked up special bar. Like, every special slot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Or no, maybe you just get, like, 2 stored finishers.
Something like that, yeah. I think we could work it out.
I was saying, because I feel like if you're gonna, the max was like 5, I think, or maybe I'm thinking of like the old SmackDown games, but like, I feel like it's kind of skewed if all of a sudden like you cash in or I cash in on you as Braun Strowman and I just hit you with 5 finishers.
Well, wouldn't that just happen in real life?
I don't think 5 finishers would happen, but also there's the cases where the cash in doesn't go so well.
Yeah, so that'll depend on the individual player, but anyway.
I like that idea. And maybe the match stipulation is something that's picked live on stream. It's a Money in the Bank match, but, the viewers get to pick if it's like Hell in a Cell or tables match or...
Yeah, we could do that. Speaking of streams, I streamed some Fire Pro World last week. A bunch of people tuned into that. That was a good time. I can't believe... This is the point I'm at in life where I'm streaming Fire Pro.
Hey, I was there. I hung out. The greatest clip in the world.
Yeah, we'll get to the details later and what I went through during the Johnny Fire Pro segment. But it was a lot of fun. I hope to do that more in the future. All right, so what do you say we get into some gaming news next?
Are you looking to get a better grip on life? How about your video games? Well, VGF Gamers are the largest silicone gaming brand in the USA. They have a variety of different and unique skins for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One controllers and consoles. Check out their products at vgfgamers.com and use code GameMarks to receive 15% off your order at checkout. That's GAMEMARKS at checkout. VGF Gamers. Better grip, better style.
All right, so rather than do my little segment I normally do this week, I just want to chat with you about WWE Battlegrounds because I think that was the big news coming out of last week, and we have some info on it finally.
Yeah.
So, the game will come out on September 18th for the PS4, Xbox One, Steam, and Switch. The standard game will be marked at $40, which is great. The pre-order bonus will include the totally awesome pre-order pack, which includes Edge. And now the $50 deluxe version, which is only $10 more, still not the full price of a full game. You get the base game, the digital deluxe bonus with Stone Cold Steve Austin, the SmackDown Attitude Era version of The Rock and Ronda Rousey, and the Edge pack, and also a currency pack including $1,100 in golden bucks, which are used to unlock additional superstars and vanity items. And with that, we also got to see the official cover of the game, which is kind of
okay. So I'm gonna
cool.
cut you off on the cover. So let's break down these versions here. Okay, so standard pre-order bonus, you get a wrestler, kind of cool. The fact that it's Edge is even cooler. That's fine. Here's the one thing that stands out to me. I'm not crazy hyped about the fact that there's golden bucks.
Yeah,
It
you're not
kind of
into
makes me. It kind of makes me feel like some things are going to be locked behind paywalls. And if is a big if. I would like to think that we've learned from the mistakes of Battlefront and 2K20, and I'll even throw 2K18 in there, where loot boxes and things like that are hopefully going away, or at least changing in a way where by playing matches and playing the games and like, you know, maybe playing through if there's like a story mode or whatever it is, you get these golden bucks, and it's not like you pre-ordered the game and you bought the bonus deluxe edition, so you get 1,100 now, and then for, you know, $20 you'll get 20,000 golden bucks. Like, I think that we need to move away from that style of gameplay, and I'm fingers crossed that that's not the case here.
I think that's just the world we're living in now. I mean, have you played any of the WWE mobile games on your phone? They're all paywalls.
That's the thing. This is not a mobile game, though.
No,
this is a regular console game, and I there was so much backlash from, you know, the situation that happened with Battlefront 2, and you see all these articles about how like loot boxes and games are going away and they're going to become a thing of the past, and like there's just no possible way that 2K is going to drop the ball twice. There's no way that they flub 2 times in a row.
I don't know. I guess we'll see. But come on, let's break down this cover here, because I really like it. We have the return of the alligators. The alligators are in the ring and crawling in the ring, I guess, to eat people. We have Rock and Austin right up front. Now, do you think that should have been maybe like Roman and Seth, or maybe someone more new rather than Rock and Austin? Or are we still trying to sell games based on like legends being a part of them? Because I think for me, I'm kind of over that. I'm like, okay, we get Austin, we get Rock in another game. I don't know.
I think actually what would kind of have been cooler to me is if it was Seth and Austin, or if it was Roman and Rock.
But then do we get into the whole all-star comparison with that? I
mean, it's a cartoonish style game. There's no way that this game isn't already going to be compared to that. So I look at it this way. If you're going to make a game that already looks like something that came out in the past, I would just embrace it, because it's not like All-Stars was a critical failure. It's not like the game was absolutely, you know, was bad by any means. It got good reviews. It was, you know, a somewhat celebrated style of game. Like it had its moment, and this feels like a newer version of that. So I would say, you know, if it's going to feel like a spiritual successor, embrace it.
All right, I get that, but yeah, okay. I guess I understand, but I think this cover gives a good feel about what the game's about, with the whole outdoor arena in the jungle, the very cartoony wrestlers. I like it a lot, with the power-ups in their arms. We kind of touched on this a few months ago, how we kind of wanted an NHL hits type game. I feel like we're close to this just being made by Midway.
I was going to say, do you feel like you're going to get over-the-top dramatic animations in terms of like jumping height and giant slams? Oh, okay.
There's no way.
I mean, there's a helicopter in the background of this picture. Do you think that we're doing moves off a helicopter?
Well, did you see the trailer for the game where Daniel Bryan flies in on a helicopter? Which made me laugh, because for all the major wrestling figure podcast marks out there, the WTF figure of the week was my Daniel Bryan helicopter, and everyone said, what the hell is that? Why does it exist? This game, that was foreshadowing for this game. That's why it exists.
Is that... oh, man. Is that the first crossover version of Figure Fate?
It might be, yeah.
Oh, man. That's like... we need some weird crossover term of Figure Mark Fate.
Yeah, we do. But without getting too much into this, we have the game modes, which are Exhibition. We have King of Battleground, which you take on all comers in a King of the Battleground, an online last man standing mode where 4 players start in the ring, 4 players wait outside to enter. They challenging you to run the gauntlet and defeat them all. So I guess once you beat someone, another person slides in and then it's last man standing. That's kind of cool. I like that. Sounds like a TNA match, but whatever. Then there's a campaign, which is pretty damn cool. I like that. You could unlock some wrestlers along the way, such as Stone Cold and Paul Heyman. And it features online play. Now, the roster itself is going to feature at least 70 wrestlers past and present. So far, judging by the screenshots and the trailer we saw, we have Andre the Giant, Asuka, Becky Lynch, Big Show, Braun Strowman, The Fiend, Charlotte Flair, Daniel Bryan, Drew McIntyre, Edge, John Cena, Kalisto, Kofi, Mankind, which is kind of cool, Nikki Bella, Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, Ronda Rousey, Samoa Joe, Sasha Banks, Sergeant Slaughter, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold, The Rock, Undertaker, and Yokozuna. Now, Nikki Bella, but not Brie Bella?
When's the last time Yokozuna was in the game?
I don't know, maybe 2K16 or so?
I don't know. I was gonna say, I feel like it's been a bit.
Yeah, but the last part of this, before we wrap it up, the arenas, you get a dock, which I'm assuming is the arena you see on the cover, a New York Pit, Scotland Arena, Mexico Arena, Military Boot Camp, Auto Shop, and WrestleMania. Now, if this does not remind everybody of the TNA Impact game story mode, then I don't know. But a lot of these sound the same. But with that, Georgie, you want to head over to the question of the week?
All right, let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Johnny Clash, and I'm here to tell you that the Game Marks podcast have their own pro wrestling tees store. Brace yourself, because the Game Marks podcast are on ProWrestlingTees.com with 4 brand new designs that are guaranteed to be the next big thing. So head on over to ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod today and play it forever. Marks.
All right, so the question of the week is a weekly segment where we go back and forth and ask each other a question, and then we like to propose the question to you and hear your answers. Last week, it was my question, and I asked if you could pick any kind of game peripheral that was not a controller or exclusive kind of deal, what would it be? And the one that stood out to me the most, no surprise here, our very good friend over at WCW Worldwide says, gimme an MK Special Edition with a Sub-Zero face mask. I popped pretty big for that one. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, simple as that.
I don't think we've ever gotten something like that before, so I'm all for it. I'm with you.
Yeah, I like that one. But it's my week.
It is. It's your turn this week, man.
Okay. With all the new consoles, etc. coming out, we're seeing a lot of people debate over controllers. Now, I've been seeing these images on NFL memes, which I find absolutely hilarious, where they'll piece together, like, the worst wide receiver ever, and it'll be like, someone's leg, someone's arms, someone's heart, someone's head, and they're pretty funny. So I figure, if you could create your dream controller with pieces of different controllers, what would you pick?
Oh. Huh.
Yeah. We might be here a while.
I'm like imagining myself holding controllers. So I almost feel like if there's a way that you can combine a PlayStation and the N64 controller, that works for me. Where maybe it's a smaller, slimmer version, like maybe not as tall as the N64 controller, but the button layout is similar to the PlayStation controller, where you have your 2 bumpers, you have your 2 triggers, but then you have your 2 analog sticks, and you still have the Z button. So you have multiple buttons that you can like program, almost like I don't know if you're familiar with SCUF controllers.
Yeah.
So they have the buttons on the back,
right?
That you can like, almost like that, where you like have a Z button on the back. I mean, those are the 2 controllers that I've always liked the most, is the PlayStation and the N64 controller. So any combination of those 2, I feel like works. But maybe also with like the little touchpad from the PS4, because playing The Last of Us, you need to have that little touchpad, and that's when it's used. It's It's chef kiss. It's very nice. I like when they use the touchpad. But yeah, I feel like this is your question. You got to have a good answer, man. I'm excited to hear it.
All right, so I'm obviously very familiar with the PlayStation controller. Now, shape-wise, I like it, but I would want the shell and definitely the triggers of the GameCube controller, because those triggers, the way they click, beautiful.
Yeah, that's satisfying.
And even on the GameCube, the Z button is that light trigger, I think, on the top right, I want to say. And it's just like light. You just click it so nicely. I would want that in both places, on the left and the right. But everything else from the PlayStation controller could stay exactly the same. I just want it in that GameCube shell.
Okay. All right. I like that.
No batteries either. All Bluetooth. Sorry, Xbox. We're all living in 2020 here. I don't know where you are.
Oh, jeez. All right. Well, that is this week's question of the week. As always, we love to hear your answers. Please let us know on any form of social media at GameMarksPod. But John, it's time we take a little deep dive.
I am sweating my ass off. Let's go. Hey guys, Johnny here. While we love talking about video games and wrestling here on the podcast, we wanted to share with you a new offer from our friends at Stitcher. An enormous amount of shows and bonus episodes are available on Stitcher Premium, such as Office Ladies, Comedy Bang Bang, WTF with Mark Aaron, How Did This Get Made, Bitch Sesh, True Crime Garage, Marvel's Wolverine, and plenty more. Right now you could sign up for Stitcher Premium for only $4.99 a month or $34.99 a year using our code GameMarksPodcast. That's all one word. Head on over to Stitcher.com/premium for this amazing deal and a free month. That's Stitcher.com/premium and use code GameMarksPodcast. That's all one word. Game on, Marks.
All right. So, New Japan Pro Wrestling, aka Shin Nippon Pro Wrestling 95 Tokyo Dome Battle 7, released June 30th, 1995 for the Super Famicom, developed by published by I'm just jumping into this. First thing that stands out to me, the entrances are so cool. There's not a lot to them, but they're cool. They're very unique style. It's different than the last time that we played. The animations are great. The sprites are great. The crowd is good. Like, graphically, this game hits it.
Yeah, I think when we posted that we were playing this, the consensus was people liked this art style and just like the look of the sprites themselves and the whole look of the game. Nice and bright, and they actually look like the wrestlers. Now, while I was playing this, I was thinking how we've played a lot of WWF games from Super Nintendo. They all look the same. They're boring. They all feel the same. When you get to games like this, I feel like they shine compared to those.
Absolutely. And this is, believe it or not, the 5th game by New Japan Pro Wrestling, but the 3rd in the Shin Nippon series, and I believe the 2nd that we have played?
Yes, we played 94, I believe, a couple of weeks ago.
So this game obviously gets its name from the Battle 7 New Japan event, and this is the 1995 version, and this is a yearly event that New Japan holds, and this one happened to take place on January 4th, 1995. This event was renamed a few times. It went by Wrestling World in the early 2000s, and now you may know it as Wrestle Kingdom, and they changed to that in 2007. Now, in terms of your game modes here, I gotta say, this game, being a Super Famicom game, very friendly on the menu. Kind of knew all the options right off the bat, which was very fun. No need for Johnny to do his Google Translate. We may be visiting that a little later in the episode, but right now, we didn't need it at the menu because very clearly and spelled out for you, your game modes are the G1 Climax, the Versus mode, the Battle Royal mode, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship Belt mode. You have your Battle 7 competition mode, which covers all of the matches from this event.
And every match type has a singles or tag options, obviously, except for Battle Royal, which is just a 4-person free-for-all. So that's kind of cool that you can go through these as a tag as well, which we did not do because we were mortal enemies earlier.
Well, okay, so usually this is the part where we're going to go ahead and jump into the roster, and that's all fun and good, but I really want to spend some more time talking about the actual gameplay itself. This game feels... I mean, I'm trying to think of the right word. It's simple, but complicated. I mean... It still follows those same collision-based grapple system, and it's a button masher, but it's not hard, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like early on, with a lot of the other games that we played that were this kind of style, there was a big learning curve. You had to know if there was like special button combinations and things like that. And this is just kind of grapple. You hit your moves. It's very satisfying. You hit your chops, or, in my case, I actually had someone with a drop kick this week, which was super great. Got to switch around on Johnny. And just very satisfying to hit your moves. And it felt good. What about you, John? How do you feel?
While me and you played, I will agree that it was easy. It was fun. But I did run through the G1 climax earlier in the day, and let me tell you that this game on the normal setting, I had to bump it down to easy. It was absolutely ridiculous. I was Liger, and I just went through single player, and man, it was horrible. I don't really know who I was against, but he came over to me. Off the bat, he trips me. Now he's got me in this leg lock. Over and over again, I was put in this leg lock, and it's like impossible to break it. I'm button mashing everything possible, and this was probably, I said to you when we got on here, this was the hardest game I've ever had to play single player. I couldn't win.
It was, but I feel like that's also with the times. Like I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about like the classics of like Super Famicom, Super NES, the Nintendo games, and like the difficulty swing on these games. It was like unforgiving back in the day. Like not everything was Mario, and even then, first time you play Super Mario, by like world 3 or 4, you're like, holy crap, this is like the hardest game ever. Like some of these, not every game had these learning curves or these introductions. Sometimes they just dropped you in and were like, all right, Godspeed.
Yep, have fun. What I did like was the controls themselves, because every time we go back and play a game, like I would say N64, I'm like, okay, there's only either 2 or 4 buttons, and it's going to be super easy. I would agree. And this game, they actually had special moves for every wrestler, so whether it was A and B together, or Y and A, or some sort of combo of the 4 buttons, or every button at once, which was kind of hard, you're able to hit your finisher. Now, the one thing I couldn't figure out was how to, like, turn the person and walk, turn them into like a back grapple, because every time we'd grapple, we would just struggle and button mash to see who would get the move off. How exactly would I get behind?
I think you may have to pick them up from the ground.
Yes, it's not anything I figured out. I think we both...
I will say this, though, touching on the fact that you talking about the finishers. Did you ever play Street Fighter as a kid?
Of course.
Okay, so when you're playing as Blanca and you do your little electro zapper and you hit the other person and they have that effect that happens to them?
Yes.
Every time you hit your finisher in this game, that is the effect that happens over the entire screen. It is the craziest and most trippy thing in the world, but it makes your finishers feel so badass.
Man, this isn't even 3D. This is a 2D side-scroller, and it made it feel like, I don't know, like movie-like, kind of. Like the Liger Bomb with this effect on it looks so sick, and it's a simple Liger Bomb.
Oh, and very, very fun detail that I know you love when we play these kinds of games. If you grapple too close to the end of the ring, you're going outside.
See, now with all my recent Fire Pro playing, I use that to my advantage. I know.
Oh, did you ever?
Ring awareness.
Did you ever? All right, so with that, I think it's time that we jump into the roster. I feel like maybe it's your week to do it.
Yeah, you know what? I've been putting it on you.
I feel like I've done the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Well, we both did last week because it was a huge ass roster. But
you've
been reading a lot of Japanese names, and you've been doing okay. I think we need the comic relief of me trying. So,
Yeah, I would say it's when you do it, it's funny. When I do it, it sounds sad because I kind of know what I'm doing, but I just sound like I'm struggling.
yeah. So let's go through this. This is a roster of 20. We have Tatsumi Fujinami, Shinya Hashimoto, Kaijimoto, Osamu Kido, Kensuke Sasaki, Rick Steiner, Jushin Thunder Liger, Wild Pegasus, we won't have to censor that, I guess, Norio Hanaga, Great Sasuke, Riki Choshu, Masahiro Chono, Hiroshi Haas, Scott Norton, Road Warrior Hawk, Scott Steiner, Black Tiger, aka Eddie Guerrero, El Samurai, and Super Delphin. How the hell was that, George?
That's pretty good.
That one ain't going to no blooper reel.
But while you were reading this, I think I just had an epiphany.
Oh, God.
So, every time we play these games, we go, how come Hawk is always in these games, but Animal is not? There is a period during, and I just, this popped into my brain because I watched it on Dark Side of the Ring. There's a period where Hawk is going through his rough time, and doesn't he take a leave of absence from WWF and he goes back over to Japan and does like a couple year stint in New Japan?
That's possible. That sounds familiar. I watched that episode a while ago. I can't recall really.
I feel like that may fall over this because he's Road Warrior Hawk. He's not Legion of Doom. Like he's the Road Warrior, and I feel like 95 they're definitely in the WWE. Like I got the figure. I know that they're in the WWE now. And I think that might be it. Like I think that's the logic behind it. And I'm glad that we figured this out 2 games in, and it wasn't like we're, all right, we're gonna do Battle 20 Tokyo Dome, and here's Hawk again, and we still don't know why he's in this game.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. I think that's probably the case here. But what a stacked roster! Oh my god, like this is the who's who of New Japan, especially in the 90s.
Yeah, and if you don't know who Wild Pegasus is, just throw that in your Google machine.
Or don't. Either way, it's fine. But I want to get back into kind of the artwork here. Now, up top, you have... I always like this. You have like your little screenshot, your little 8-bit screenshot of your wrestler. Obviously the Japanese version of their name, but then you have a health bar, and I believe the bottom one is a finisher bar. I think you could hit the finisher when that hits the top. I could be wrong.
Yes, top of stamina, bottom is like spirit, I guess.
Right, and then that's when you hit your cool little finish, and you have the time in the middle, obviously. Now, unlike a lot of the games from this era, you have Red Shoes, the ref, right there, right in the middle, doing his job, moving around the ring. But also, there is a cameraman outside the ring, and then there's just a man who just like hits his fist on the mat. I'm not sure who that is, if he's supposed to be like a makeshift manager that they just put in there, and he's just there every match. But
it's your ring coach.
Your ring coach, yeah. He's your Miyagi, but he's there. But very cool. Big New Japan logo in the middle. The ring's a little small, I will say that. But I like it. I like the presentation a lot. Now, the entrances, as you touched on, the big, ginormous New Japan Pro Wrestling stage that everyone has grown to love at Wrestle Kingdom, with the neon lights that look like we're in the Impact Zone. The guys walk out, they do the little taunt, you got some fireworks going off, and it just fades into the ring, into the match. I really like it. It's quick, it's to the point, but it sends it home that this is, this is a modern wrestling game for the time. Like, this is groundbreaking.
Yeah, and even has a Pink Floyd-esque laser light show at the beginning of every one.
Yeah, see, I like to call it the Impact Zone. The Impact Zone 2007.
But, just going back to the sprites really quick, like we said earlier and John just mentioned, everyone looks super amazing. The animations are great. The sprites are super clean. Tons of detail. Any game that puts Liger I mean, the amount of detail that just goes into his sprite alone, just because of how intricate and elaborate his gear has always been, it's unreal. It's so great looking.
Yeah, I like that. New Japan is all about the big presentation, the big colors, the big costumes, especially Liger. And with that, why don't we get to the cover art? Because the Great Muta has officially been removed from these games, removed from the cover, and enter the Great Sasuke.
How do you sell a game better? Just two giant stars of New Japan on the cover.
Divided. Like, you know that this is the battle between good and evil. This is the battle between the Great Sasuke and Jushin Thunder Liger. But I think it sends it home that this is a New Japan game. You're going to have fun playing as these two guys, two of the top stars. And little do you know, once you enter the game, you have a whole world of massive stars that some of them are going to become even bigger.
Yeah, and then there's also a poster that I found. We will post that on our Twitter page. You can see that. This poster has a greater detail in terms of, you get to see a little bit more of the roster. There's a lot more text on here. And this, John, this is the poster that I would like for you to use your Google Translate on.
Oh, boy. Okay. So head on over to our Twitter account and check out the picture we're talking about. It's a, I guess, magazine ad for the game. So the big writing in the middle is not coming up, but the green writing on the side, all I'm getting is there is a difference between each other, which makes sense, with the Liger and Sasuke feud. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's about all I'm going to get out of this, so...
Hey, you know what? It was worth a shot.
Yeah, but I very much like this cover. I think a lot of the New Japan games have a really good presentation to their cover and their artwork and the game itself.
Yeah, they're very interesting, very different than what we get over here. Here's my question about the cover, just real quick. How come it is like a torn piece of paper between the two photos? You see that, right?
Yep.
Now, and then how come also the lightning bolts divide them? Wouldn't one be enough?
Maybe it's like lightning bolts are representing Liger, the ripped papers representing Sasuke. I don't know. It's art. It's art.
Just something that I noticed. Yeah,
It's
just
art.
something that I noticed.
We don't want to look too much like World Tour.
All right. Well, with that, John, I think it's time that we hop into some fast facts. What do you say?
Let's hit them.
In 1995, Yuke's picked up the license to produce Shin Nippon Pro Wrestling games and would later purchase a majority share of the promotion.
Very put out 3 Super Famicom games between 1993 and 1995, one of which was ported to the PC Engine CD by Fujicom. The first of these was Shin Nippon Pro Wrestling Chao Senshi in Tokyo Dome, and the first Shin Nippon Pro Wrestling game.
All right, and that is it for the fast facts for this week. But John, I don't know about you. I'm a little tired. It's time for, let's see, we're both kind of slouching in our chairs as we're recording.
Well,
I think
it's raining out. We're both old men, so our joints are hurting and clicking and,
How are you old? I'm older than you and I don't feel old. Jesus.
I feel
all right. Well, I think it's time for you to put some Bengay on your old joints and for us to go get some ratings and reviews.
I don't understand the correlation between the two, but anyway. Obviously not many reviews in 1995 that I could find for this game without really digging. And when I did dig, I found a lot of blogs and articles of people reviewing it now, which I don't necessarily believe is a good source of ratings and reviews. I want the reviews when they came out. I want to see what people were saying then, because obviously a game now might not hold up as much. So for what I have, RVGfanatic.com gives Very a lot of credit. They kind of say that out of the whole trilogy of the Shin Nippon games, this is the most refined, which I could agree on, judging just by 94 that we played. Now, Game FAQ's user rating, out of 9 ratings, it has a 3 out of 5. The difficulty level is a 4 out of 5, I could attest to that. And the length of play is 23 hours. So, that 23 hours is kind of like middle of the road compared to like what people play nowadays, but I think overall it holds up decently.
Yeah, I'd say 23 hours is not bad, especially given the time. This is a cartridge game.
I'm not going to spend 23 hours playing this game. Maybe I'll play it maybe once more. I don't know.
All right.
But I could agree. I could agree with the middle of the road reviews.
Yeah, I'm on that. I'm on that trip. All right. So, you know what, John? I'm just going to let you take it this time this week. You just walk us through Clash at the Feast.
What's up, Game Marks Podcast? This is Danny Tancredi, and I'm here with my brother Johnny Tancredi, and together we are the Caught Looking Podcast. Each week we bring to you the latest news and reviews on all things baseball collectibles. From baseball cards and memorabilia to bobbleheads and stadium giveaways, each episode will discuss the newest products to hit the shelves of your local card store and your favorite ballparks around the country. Be sure to be following us on Instagram at the Caught Looking Podcast and on Twitter at CaughtLookingBB. New episodes drop every Friday, so be sure to tune in wherever great podcasts like this one are available. The Caught Looking Podcast. Don't get caught looking, start collecting.
You know, it's been a good week. Clash at the Feast has been a good week. Me and George loaded up this game. We played a few rounds. He kicked my butt like usual. But then something happened. Something happened along the lines. Maybe I was a ringer. Maybe I was hustling him. Or maybe I just got lucky.
Got hustled.
Maybe I just got lucky. But I chose the dog-faced gremlin, Rick Steiner. And Georgie, you were Scott Norton? No, George chose Road Warrior Hawk. And I...
Not Overdose.
Oh. And I shouldered...
I'm still mad about that.
And I shoulder tackled and Steiner reclinered my way to victory. And finally, we can play my music. And with that, I now have 11 wins to Georgie's 22. And like usual, guys, you could head on over to our YouTube channel. We try to post these every week. If you haven't seen them, they're quick. They're 5 to 10 minute matches. You could follow along with Clash at the Feast and all the matches we do. Some weeks it doesn't happen because of technical errors. I apologize for my audio this week. I'm still getting the hang of doing things different way, simplifying my, daily routine, but check them out.
All right. And with that, John, I was wondering if you happen to know what time it is right now.
I believe it's 4 o'clock. I'm getting a little hungry. I think it might be dinner time in a little bit. I'm going to start cooking.
Oh, do you hear the bells? The alarm's going off, John, because it's time to rate the game.
The game!
All right, Johnny boy. Here we go. Shin Nippon Pro Wrestling Battle 7 in Tokyo Dome 1995. Will you play it forever? Or future endeavor, my friend?
You're fired!
So early on today, it was a huge future endeavor playing by myself. But after me and you played, I kind of liked it. I liked actually like the G1 Climax and the Battle Royal. I liked all the game modes. They were very unique. The replayability was very high, especially playing together. So I'm going to actually say 2 weeks in a row, I'll play it forever.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It is monsooning.
All right. Yeah, it's pretty wild outside.
And George, we're going to throw it on over to you. Will you play this forever or future endeavor?
I'm going to future endeavor this game.
You're fired!
It was fun. It was super pretty. but I just don't see myself going back and playing it. It was a very nice game to look at, but not one that I would add to my collection.
Okay, I kind of figured that was going to be the case, and it took a lot for me to say I'm going to replay this game. Will I? That remains to be seen. Maybe that's something we could revisit in the future. But, okay, It's been a while since we split. I like it.
All right, well, now it is time for my most favorite, number one new segment of the podcast, and that is Johnny Fire Pro.
All right, so as you saw, I streamed last week on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/GameMarksPod. I created GMP Man, or as it actually came out, the Man GMP. And I created the Game Marks Podcast Ring. All those parts are available to download on PlayStation version. Now, on my free time, I created a few more rings. As we saw, the Cap Ring, the GMP Ring. I also made a Clash at the Feast, a WCW Monday Nitro ring, an Impact ring, a Stomp in Paradise Major Wrestling Figure Podcast ring, and my personal favorite, the GameCube ring. You could check these all out on our Twitter page, or you could download all the parts in for Fire Pro yourself if you play on the PlayStation 4. Now, I also uploaded 3 new attires for Johnny Clash. You could go check him out if you want to download me. And I'm going to refine GMP Man a little before I put him up. And I'm also working on Conor McGregor because I don't know if it was just the Fire Pro website that wasn't loading, but I didn't see him anywhere. And I feel like if I'm going to play the MMA mode, I want to be one of my favorite fighters. So Conor McGregor's in the works, and I'm going to upload him when I'm done.
All right. I mean, listen, my favorite part of this whole experience of you playing Fire Pro Wrestling is the clip on Twitch that I got in which you say, hey, I'm actually having fun and I'm enjoying this. I will never let you live that down. So from now on, every time we play a Fire Pro game, whether it's win or lose or it's an older generation, now that you understand the mechanics, I expect a good fight.
Okay. I'm down because I had no idea what I was doing before this, so it's on. But George, let's tell them what we're playing next week on the podcast.
All right. Now, this is going to be a very special episode next week. So we are playing WWF Superstars for the Game Boy with a very special guest, the newest friend of the show, but someone that you and I have both known for a while. But the newest guest on the Game Marks podcast will be Mr. Philip Cardigan.
Oh, I am so ready to hear about his 401k and his dental plan. WWF Superstars for the Game Boy. I think we're all slightly familiar with it. It was probably one of the first games most of us had. So I'm ready. It's going to be a good time.
Very excited. Very excited. Always a big fan of having new friends on the podcast. So, is it time? Is it time to put a bow on it?
I think we should wrap it up here.
All right. Well, guys, that is going to do it for us this week on the Game Marks podcast. Please check out our Pro Wrestling Tees store at prowrestlingtees.com/GameMarksPod. It is currently the best way besides listening to support the show. And be sure to follow us on all forms of social media at GameMarksPod. Leave us a review and a rating on Apple Podcasts and subscribe to us wherever great podcasts can be found. Johnny, thanks for hanging out with me this week. I feel like I don't thank you enough for doing this with me. This is fun.
Thank you for being a friend.
Bum, 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 bum. That's the new outro to the show. Golden Girls theme. I'm sorry, Max Caster. All right. So with that, thanks for hanging out with us this week. Stay safe. Wash your hands. That's still a thing that you guys should be doing. And Johnny, say goodbye.
Game over. Marks.
Game Marks podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no Game Shark. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the Clash at the Feast. How can I get more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks podcast every single Monday.